Life on the John Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
All right, thank you. 5 minutes after 11 o'clock. Nice looking Wednesday. A little bit cool out there, but I'm not going to complain because I don't know where our guests are. They might be in Buffalo where it's just loaded with snow. And so I'm not going to complain about 45 degrees when the rest of the country is in snow and freezing. Dr. James P. Kiley is on the phone. He's the director of the Division of Lung Diseases at the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute at the National Institutes of Health. And John W. Walsh is on with him. I just asked him if I referred to him as doctor. He said, no, I'm just an inpatient patient.
Oh, okay.
He's a patient. He's also the co-founder, by the way, and president of the COPD Foundation. COPD is the abbreviation for chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. You've heard of it, but if you've never had it or don't have somebody in your family that has had it, you probably just know it as COPD and don't really know the details unless you're a doctor. November 19th today is World COPD Day, by the way. Dr. Kiley and John Walsh, good morning to both of you gentlemen.
Good morning.
Where are you? Are you in the cold?
Washington, D.C.
I'm in New York City this morning, and can't wait to get back to Miami on Friday.
Oh, who's that? Is that Dr. Kiley?
That's John Walsh.
Oh, John is in New York City, and Dr. Kiley, you're in D.C.?
In D.C., right, just outside.
All right. When we set aside a day to recognize or to, like today is COPD Awareness Day, what do we do? How does it help us? I mean, obviously you're doing a radio show, so that helps us. But the thing I read on your website, let's see, I went to one of your websites. I think I went to yours, John. It sounds like we could have COPD and not know it.
Yeah, in fact, over half the people that have COPD don't know that. In the U.S., the statistics are startling. 15 million people are currently diagnosed with COPD based on the Centers for Disease Control, the CDC statistics. Third leading cause of death, second leading cause of disability. People that get diagnosed have already lost 50% of their normal lung function. So COPD, just one of our big objectives today on World COPD Day is across the globe, individuals with COPD and physicians and scientists and patient organizations and professional societies are all raising awareness to let the general public know that if you have difficulty breathing on exertion and you get frequent colds and infections and you've had exposures to risk factors for COPD with tobacco first and second hand, fuel, dust, workplace exposures. You might have a genetic predisposition like I do with alpha-1. You need to get tested for COPD. It's not just part of the aging process. If you can't keep up with your peers and you have difficulty breathing, you need to just answer 5 simple questions.
So that describes you?
Say again?
Is that what you went through before you realized you had COPD?
I was diagnosed with asthma first, and that's another challenge is what do you really have? And most people with COPD are initially diagnosed with asthma, in my case, allergy-induced asthma. But it took 5 years to get a diagnosis of COPD and then another year to get a diagnosis of the genetic form of COPD, alpha-1.
Dr. Kiley, does the word obstructive, it sounds like it indicates that something is obstructing something else. What is obstructing what?
Right. So the whole definition of COPD is one that it's defined by the airways that carry the air from your nose and mouth into the deep regions of your lungs get partially blocked. They become inflamed. They become thick, and then they often are floppy and collapse. And so you have a partially blocked airway. And I think you can imagine when you block the airflow, then it's going to make it increasingly difficult to breathe. And that's basically what you experience with COPD.
If a woman doesn't take care of herself properly while she is carrying a child, can that child be born with a defective lung and have COPD or defective heart?
That's a good question, and it's one that's a little difficult to put together in terms of cause and effect. We know that exposure to various agents, irritates, during pregnancy will potentially lead to abnormal lung development in the fetus and newborn. So we do have some evidence that would suggest that various things that you breathe, and certainly secondhand smoke, or if you're a smoker yourself, or you're in a workplace where there's a lot of dust and other things that may be irritating your lungs, that you may be influencing the lungs of your unborn child. And we're starting to do some research now to look to see whether there are things that are going on during uterine development that may actually lead to prematurity, that may lead to that may be antecedents to later disease. One could even make the assumption that perhaps what's going on during development may actually put you at higher risk for COPD later in life.
So once you find out about it, it says here there are some steps we can do, and obviously a short interview is never going to answer all the questions. So we'll make sure to get a website or a book mentioned or something. But what are some of the steps we can do?
Well, the first thing that we want to try to impress on all during COPD Awareness Month is that you should take notice of the signs and symptoms of COPD and take the first step to breathing better, and that's by having a conversation with your health provider about the symptoms that you may be experiencing. And be aware that things may change during the fall, winter seasons. If you have COPD, you may be having more difficulty during times of the year when it gets colder or it gets there are more exposures in the air. Environmental conditions change, and take an opportunity to have a conversation with your healthcare provider about those changes in your breathing status. When you add together the symptoms and the risk factors, and that these things all may be early indicators that you have a disease that affects a lot of people, that it's important that you talk to your provider, because there's a simple breathing test you can take to diagnose the disease, and there's a lot of tools that providers have today to control symptoms.
John, I was looking at an article about you went to a concert, and I guess your oxygen tank was clicking, and the guy in front of you was upset, and you kind of had this back and forth argument or so in the press. Can you tell me about that? Do you have an oxygen tank with you at all times?
No, I use supplemental oxygen when I fly, when I exercise, when I sleep, and when I'm at altitude like in Denver, but one of the reasons why I live in Miami. But that was actually a person that was at a Broadway play that had an portable oxygen concentrator that was clicking.
That wasn't you?
No, it wasn't me, but I wrote an op-ed piece on it in the Times, and it created. We had quite a discussion. It was the audacity of somebody to complain about somebody's, a very just a piss sound in disturbing their performance is just outrageous. I mean, that's unacceptable. That's one of the problems with COPD is it's highly stigmatized, more so than any other chronic condition. The shame and blame, you did it to yourself, you smoked. Well, it doesn't matter how you get COPD. If you have COPD and you have to deal with it, and a lot of people that smoking is a terrible addiction. So.
That's true. Let me make sure we get out the information so that our listeners can get more information. And this is also being recorded for the listeners' sake. If you want to share this with somebody, it's just as easy as going to our Facebook page or our WOCA YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. So can I get a website or
Sure.
other information?
There are a lot of resources for individuals with COPD or those that want to explore whether or not they may have COPD. So copdfoundation.org. You can also go to NIH COPD. We have an information line. You can talk with somebody with COPD or a caregiver at 866-316-COPD. That's 866-316-2673. And it's critically important. Most people that get diagnosed with COPD have already lost 50%, and that's unexcusable. It's a simple breathing test. So go on the copdfoundation.org site, answer those 5 simple questions, identify your risk, and get to your healthcare provider. If you have COPD, log on to the system and communicate with other people with COPD. And we're here to help each other, and we all have to support research moving forward. So we have more improved therapies.
All right, great information. Robin wrote the number down in the other information, so she'll be sure to put that on our Facebook page along with the recording of this. Dr. James, Kiley, and John Walsh, thank you both. Stay warm and get back to Florida, John.
I will. Take action today, breathe better tomorrow. Thanks for your interest.
There you go. Very good. Call us if you need that information repeated. We'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. A mix of clouds and sun this afternoon, high 61 to 67. Clear and cold tonight, low 38 to 54. Mostly sunny tomorrow, high 66 to 74. Clear to partly cloudy and cool tomorrow night, low 49 to 63. And then Friday, some sunshine with a high 71 to 77. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Steve Williams.
This weather brought to you by A&A Lockdock. Did you know that most break-ins happen during bad weather because it masks the sound? Don't be another victim. Protect your home and business today. Call A&A Lockdock, 352-867-1965. That's 352-867-1965.
WOCA.
AM 1370.
96.3. 96.3.
Who would you feed if you had 50 chicken sandwiches from Chick-fil-A? WOCA and Chick-fil-A in the Paddock Mall have teamed up to reward one organization with 50 chicken sandwiches as a way of saying thanks for the great work that organization is doing in our community. And we need your help. See, there are so many great people doing great things that we need nominations. You can nominate your own organization or any organization you choose. Simply send an email to WOCA@WOCA.com. And in 350 words or less, tell us why the organization you are nominating should receive 50 free chicken sandwiches from WOCA and Chick-fil-A at the Paddock Mall. We'll review your nominations and then select one deserving organization each month. We'll announce the winner and even read the winning entry on the air. Make sure to include the contact name and phone number of the organization that you are nominating. And thanks from your friends at WOCA and Chick-fil-A in the Paddock Mall.
Career Source, Citrus, Levy, Marion brings together business and community partners, economic development leaders, and educational providers to connect employers with qualified, skilled talent and job seekers with employment and career development opportunities. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of each month at 9:30 a.m. to Career Source, Citrus, Levy, Marion, and learn how they can help you.
I'm Major George Patterson from the Salvation Army. Please stop by our family store at 120 Northwest 10th Street in Ocala, where on Wednesday you have a 50% off clothing and bric-a-brac. On Friday, 25% off furniture and large appliances. And on Saturday, stop by to our yard sale from 8:45 to 11. Donations can be made by calling 352-732-4469 and we'll pick it up. Funds from the store go toward the services that we provide in Marion County.
Visit the WOCA website at www.woca.com.
Hi, Danny Warfel here. Get moving with Florida Credit Union's fast and easy loan approval process.
Let Florida Credit Union start up a new car loan for you today. No more waiting, hassles, or stop signs. You can even apply online. With a strong financial team behind you, you can enjoy great rates and fast approvals.
It's all about personalized service and a streamlined process.
Florida Credit Union, connecting your money to your life.
Nothing comes close to honey baked. For starters, every honey baked ham is fully cooked and ready to serve, and underneath that sweet, crunchy glaze is the leanest, most flavorful, moist, and tender ham you'll find anywhere. Add a luscious turkey breast, pot roast, or baby back ribs with our delicious casserole dishes and desserts, and voila, dinner is served. Call us now to place your order at 861-0011. That's 861-0011. Place your order today and grab one of Honey Baked Ham's scrumptious sandwiches to go or dine in.
Come be swept away with medieval magic by volunteering at the 29th Annual Hogtown Medieval Fair on January 24th and 25th and January 30th through February 1st at the Alachua County Fairgrounds. Volunteers will take tickets, oversee exhibits, or provide breaks for the artists. Become a part of Gainesville's rich tradition of community service. Volunteers will receive a one-day pass. Applications can be downloaded at gvlculturalaffairs.org or call the City of Gainesville at 352-393-8536.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. A mix of clouds and sun this afternoon, high 61 to 67. Clear and cold tonight, low 38 to 54. Mostly sunny tomorrow, high 66 to 74. Clear to partly cloudy and cool tomorrow night, low 49 to 63. And then Friday, some sunshine with a high 71 to 77. From the Florida Weather Center,